Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. From your morning podcast to your afternoon playlist, State Farm knows you personalize your entire day. And that's why State Farm helps you personalize your insurance with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It offers coverage options that help protect what you care about most at an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Every cup of Nespresso coffee is an invitation to transform your morning routine into a ritual you can treasure each and every day. Using the Virtuo Pop, a simple touch of the button freshly brews bold aromas and a rich, velvety crema layer for delicious cafe-quality coffee at home. Whether you enjoy your coffee hot or over ice, every sip, every morning is unforgettable. Nothing tastes like Nespresso coffee. Visit Nespresso.com or our app to explore our full range of easy-to-use machines and coffees not found anywhere else.
Today on the 10-12 podcast, myself, Andy, and Jamie break down the Big 12 men's basketball bracket, stop complaining about Kansas City, certain fan bases. We look at TCU winning the women's side of the bracket and the three new open jobs for Big 12 women's basketball: Arizona State, BYU, and Houston.
This can feel like a pretty confusing time to be a college sports fan. In a few weeks, schools will be able to share revenue and pay athletes directly for the first time, meaning it's going to be even more important for schools to find new revenue sources and figure out what to do with all their money. You have major financial institutions looking to invest in college athletics, and the value and the structure of major media rights deals have never been more important. Plus, between state houses, the federal government, and the court system, legislation around the transfer portal, name, image, and likeness, and what it actually means to be a college athlete feels like it's changing every possible week. If you are confused by any of this and want to understand how any of the stuff that goes on off the field shapes what you see on the field, check out Extra Points. I'm Matt Brown. I'm the publisher of Extra Points. I'm a longtime college sports journalist, and I spend all of my time talking to lawyers, filing open records requests, talking to athletic directors, and digging into everything else that shapes what you see in college athletics to explain it so it all makes sense here for you. If you want to understand the forces that are shaping the Big 12 and your specific institutions and need to know what needs to happen in order for your schools to be competitive, check out Extra Points at www.extrapointsmb.com.
Good night, itchy eyes. Good night, sudden sneeze. Good night to your symptoms of allergies. Xyzal is the allergy medicine you take before bed. It provides powerful relief while you rest your head. Not just all night, but all the next day. Xyzal keeps working, keeping allergies at bay. And without those annoying symptoms disturbing your rest, you can wake up the next morning feeling your absolute best. Remember, be wise all, take Xyzal. At night.
Welcome to the 10-12, the podcast that covers all 16 teams in the Big 12 Conference. We are the flagship show of the 10-12 Network. Find every show on the network at 1012network.com. That's TEN, the number 12, the word network, and a period, and COM. And of course, we're partners with Sports Social, Europe's biggest sports podcast network. I'm your host, Phillip Slavin. Thank you for joining us on this Monday's episode. We're here to talk hoops. We got a lot to talk about both on the men's and the women's side. So joining us as they do every week, especially at this point in the season, she is the one that many come to listen to, the vibe queen herself, JSJ, the voice of every sport you can think of in the state of Iowa. She is Jamie Steyer-Johnson.
Usually I'd say not to inflate my ego, but we're getting down the stretch in the basketball season. I get to the point where I walk the fine line that is being absolutely, completely, utterly as invested and as involved as one could possibly be, and burnout. And that is a thin line to walk. So I'll take it, man. I'm happy to be here.
Jamie, if the least we can do for you is boost your ego, then I feel like I have succeeded, both as a co-host and a friend. Also joining us is a man whose ego needs no help whatsoever. He is the host of the Rock Chalk podcast. He is Andy Mitz.
I mean, I wouldn't mind it, but no, let's be honest. Everyone comes to listen to Jamie and then they come to get mad at me. So, we all have our roles to play.
It's not entirely that far off.
I know. That's the point.
Look, every podcast needs an Andy, okay? Every podcast needs an Andy. Every podcast needs a Jamie, and I am just every host of every show. I am. You could replace me tomorrow, and it would be fine. Look, we've got, like I said, plenty of basketball to get to. This has been an insane weekend with the amount of college Big 12 sports to try and keep track of. Okay. You've got Big 12 Wrestling Championship still going on right now. You had Big 12 Women's Tournament, plenty of games, and the championship game was today. Big 12 Softball started conference play this weekend, and it was crazy. No sweeps across the entire conference whatsoever. Everyone's got a conference loss now. Big 12 Baseball is still ongoing, and conference play starts soon. You had Utah winning their 17th skiing national championship. It's a thing, okay? You got acrobatics and tumbling underway. You got Big 12 tennis going on, men's and women's. I mean, there is so much happening right now. It is nuts. It's absolutely nuts. I was sitting here on Sunday at the same time I had OSU baseball, OSU softball, wrestling, and the OKC Thunder all playing at the same time. And I was just going like, I don't know what to do. I'm overload. Thank goodness the kids were asleep, because if I'd had them as well at that point, I don't know what I would have done. I would have lost my mind. I just lost it. It's okay. Do us a favor, by the way. If you're first-time listener, long-time listener, leave us a review. Leave us 5 stars. I would appreciate it. It really does help us out. And man, speaking of ego boosts, it's a really nice ego boost to go to iTunes or any of the platforms and see a nice comment or a nice review that's popped up that's new. It's just a nice little giddy up to start the day, or at whatever point in the day I read it. So if you would do us a favor, you can say something mean about Andy, something nice about Jamie. You can say something great about the show itself or the network, whatever you want to do. Leave us a review, 5 stars, please. Leave a comment, subscribe on YouTube. We would appreciate it. Let's start with the men's side. We will get to the women's side here in a minute, because we got a lot to talk about on the women's side, about the championship game, as well as jobs that have come open. Quite a bit to get to. So let's talk about the men's side. The bracket is out. The regular season is done. A little bit women's side came down to regular season champion was decided on the last day of the season. Men's side, we've been pretty set for a while, folks. It's been pretty well decided. All we needed to know from there was seeding that we now have.
This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was getting frustrated by your forms. Now, Taxes is uploading your forms with a snap, and a TurboTax expert will do your taxes for you. One who's backed by the latest tech, which cross-checks millions of data points for absolute accuracy, all of which makes it easy for you to get the most money back, guaranteed. Get an expert now at TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. See guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
We've got, obviously, Houston as the 1 seed, Texas Tech as the 2, Arizona as the 3, BYU all the way up to a 4 seed. Absolutely incredible close to the season. Incredible close to the season for BYU. Just absolutely nuts. Iowa State is the 5. For a while they were like, could Iowa State, Houston, maybe good with it. Iowa State's all the way down at the 5 seed. That is, this conference is, as always, absolutely insane. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. What do we got? I'm very confused as to who I can't get this stupid graphic to get bigger.
Kansas is
the 6.
The 6. Okay,
Baylor 7.
Yeah. I couldn't. The 6 and the 8 look very similar here, and so I was having trouble because it was so small on my screen.
It could be worse. We could have the abomination that is the Big Ten graphic, at least the women's one. I haven't looked at the men's one because why would I? But the women's one, the spacing was so bad that I kept screwing up who was going on to which matchup in the second round. And not just me, because obviously I have ADHD, so like understandable, but both of my co-hosts over at Her Hoop, anytime I would say, yeah, I keep thinking it's this matchup, but it's actually this one, they thought it was the incorrect one as well. So could
Fantastic.
be worse. Hot
Fantastic.
mess.
And then, of course, we will begin things on March 11th. Very excited for Tuesday when this tournament gets going. We get 12 seed Oklahoma State versus 13 seed Cincinnati. One of those two teams' season will come to an end quickly and early. 9 seed TCU versus 16 seed Colorado. 10 seed Kansas State versus 15 seed Arizona State. And 11 seed Utah versus 14 seed UCF. That is how we will start the tournament, as I said, on Tuesday. It is wild to me as we sit here and really look at this that Iowa State has fallen all the way to the 5 seed, a team that at one point looked like they could win the entire conference with the way the season started off, and now they're the 5 seed. Like I said, BYU's run these last few weeks has been absolutely incredible. They are on a roll. Let's see if their roll continues longer and better than Kansas State's did earlier in the season. I'm impressed by West Virginia, DeVries' first season. I think they've done a really good job. Baylor and Kansas, two teams that have kind of been here in this conference doing big things, sitting at 6 and 7. I just like it's not shocking to see Houston at 1. But the top 4 overall, like if I told you before the season started, your top 4 seeds in the Big 12 tournament would be Houston, Texas Tech, Arizona, and BYU. Like it's a little bit shocking to realize that 3 of the teams sitting here in the top 4 seeds in this conference tournament are all basically newcomers. Yes, BYU was here last year, but they're in year 2 and they made a coaching change, but it's wild that Houston, Arizona, and BYU are 3 of the top 4 teams in this conference. I know we've talked about the conference being down a little bit this year, but that is, I know I'm not saying that as a knock on anyone else. I'm not saying that as a knock on Kansas or Baylor or West Virginia or any other team in this conference. That is just a wild thing to say and really speaks to, I don't want to hear the SEC nonsense right now. The absolute depth of this conference has only gotten better when you have teams like that. And we all had high hopes for Arizona this season. And obviously Houston, we understood. But BYU going on the run they did to get to 4, like it's just, this conference is just more ridiculous than it's ever been. And it's been nuts for quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, you also, look at, obviously Arizona State and Colorado struggling, but those were teams that were expected to struggle in the Pac-12. So it's not like that was a surprise at all. Like all of the surprises in the conference, in terms of newcomers, have been in the good direction. Whereas, yes, Kansas was obviously an unpleasant surprise for Kansas fans, but I think a lot of people could have potentially seen this coming if you paid attention to some of the issues they had last year. So it's not that surprising, even though, I was a little shocked, but I'm also a Kansas homer. Like everybody's, confirmed that. So like, I think Baylor being down at the 7 seed was a little bit surprising, but I mean, like you just look at the way that this conference shook up, and I'm not that shocked that there's a big group of teams, from Kansas at 11 and 9 down to Kansas State at 9 and 11, that are kind of bunched there in the middle. And then you've got kind of, it's just spread out across. Like, I didn't think Houston would win the conference with only 1 loss. Like, I think the expectation coming into the season was that the winner of the conference probably have 5 or 6 losses at least. So that was a huge surprise, I think, that Houston was able to be, because you expected, Houston and Arizona and Kansas and Baylor and Iowa State and potentially Texas Tech to all beat up on each other, to all, take 1 win or something from the other. This not happened obviously this year. I think Houston has shown just how good they are. But to your point, anybody who you expected could have an opportunity to really overachieve coming into the conference has done it.
Yeah, no, I love the point of the surprises are in the positive way. Houston's been ridiculously good. I wish the non-con had worked out better for the Big 12 because it's not going to get the respect it's due. We got to listen to all this SEC nonsense. Like, this feels like one of those years where, and I cannot wait, the Big 12 is going to do some damage in the tournament. Like, I know we feel this way every year, but I just get the vibes that this is a year where the Big 12 will actually do well in the tournament. They've kind of been off the last couple seasons. No team to the second weekend last year was awful. La 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 la. This feels like a year where the way BYU is playing, we know how good Iowa State actually is. Houston is awesome. We get it from Arizona and we get it from Texas. Like, it feels like an 8-bid tournament, a conference this year. All your top 8 seeds. And I think all 8 teams have a real shot at doing some damage once they get in there.
Yeah, I was going to say, even like Kansas and Baylor and West Virginia, like they all have had flaws that have caused issues for them in the Big 12. But, the tournament is very matchup dependent, and it is not very difficult to find a matchup scenario of 2 or 3 straight games that's going to allow them to go on a deep run. Kansas, and Baylor and West Virginia each have one clear flaw that you point to that really kind of caused them tons of issues in the conference. You're not going to see those teams all the time that know exactly how to play you once you get into the NCAA tournament.
I just want to say Bracket Matrix has BYU as a 7 and Kansas as an 8. Good luck to anyone who has to play BYU in the first
They are going
round.
to be the team that people are complaining about their seeding because it's too low. It's great. I love it.
It's going to be fun. They got Baylor and West Virginia basically predicted as 10 seeds. Okay. Good luck with that. Yeah. This is gonna be fun. Oh, I love it.
Is it bad? Is it bad that I kind of want someone like Kansas State to go on a run in this tournament so they can get in as an 11 seed?
No, because I don't think they're going to. We're not. No, it's not gonna. That's not gonna.
I know it's not gonna happen, but I will say I would not be disappointed if a team like that was able to sneak their way in with a big run in Kansas City.
So let's talk about this, Andy. Obviously, this is a tournament that has been dominated by Kansas and Iowa State. We call it. We got the Ames South, right? Charlie Hustle shirts that are out there. We understand Kansas South. Hilton South. Thank you. We got Hilton South. I'm sorry. Okay.
I was just going to let him cook, Jamie. Look, I wanted someone else to get some hate instead of me.
Like, Iowa State fans are going to get mad because you called it the wrong nickname. Like, I'm giving you full credit for this thing, okay? It's not like I'm... it's daylight savings time. But you got Iowa State as a 5, Kansas as a 6, 2 teams that have really dominated this tournament. Like, I'm intrigued here because, look, can Iowa State come in as a 5 seed and win the whole thing? Absolutely. But it's not the same setup. Like, they're going to have to win 4 games to do it. I am very curious. I think this is the most wide open Big 12 tournament we've gone into in quite some time. To me.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, Texas Tech and Arizona have both shown some potential issues in the last couple weeks, and I think part of that's just the long season. But it's not like they go into this tournament with feeling like they will beat anybody. Like, obviously, they all feel confident that they can come out of this tournament with the win overall. But it's not hard to envision a scenario where Texas Tech has a bad game and drops to Baylor, or Arizona drops another game to Kansas. Like, those things are very, very possible. I mean, we could have a Texas like a Texas Tech in the women's tournament situation where you have a team in the first day that's a lower seed that gets hot and really pushes, your 11, your 6, your 3, like pushes everybody until you get to a point where, they finally just run out of gas. But I do think that the number of games you play is going to be fairly important. So teams like, those top 4 seeds are going to have a legitimate advantage. But I don't think anybody in that top 4, except for maybe Houston, is heads or tails so much better than everyone else that in a one and done scenario that's going to be an insurmountable advantage.
I mean, but look, last year was Iowa State blowing out Houston 2-1, right? So, but outside of Texas winning it in 2021 because of still COVID, and then winning it in 2023, and full credit for them winning that one. Like, it's been Kansas and Iowa State. And so you come into a year where I don't think either of those teams should be viewed as favorites heading into this.
Definitely not. No.
And so when I say wide open, I want people to understand, like, I would still pick one of the top 4 teams to win it. It's just when you go into this tournament so often, the mindset's always, all right, well, it's going to be Kansas or Iowa State because it's in Kansas City and we got to rig it up for those teams and whatever nonsense some Utah fans are going to start spewing and complaining and thinking about. I know you guys have thoughts on Utah fans.
Don't even get me started there, at least not yet.
Shout out to Arizona fans who are all like, this is fine. This is good. We're happy here. Utah fans are just, I've decided, just miserable people. Just unhappy, grumpy people.
The people that have covered, like, especially the women's tournament as in Vegas and were like, this is heads and shoulders better, like Kim Doss for Arizona. God bless. Because
she's awesome.
It's one thing to, like, say, this is what we've always done. It works really well for us. It's another to have seen both and call it out. And I definitely appreciate, like, actual perspective from people who have seen the different ones.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're going to get into this now. Like, the media people that I talked to at the Big 12 tournament for the women this week, and even a lot of the fans that I came into contact with, were all upset about stuff outside of the arena. Like, that was the big issue for them. And it's like, well, you're here for a basketball tournament. You're not here to go on the strip at night after your game, or, you know, to go find certain places that you want to go eat or find other source of entertainment. Like, that's not what this is about. This is about coming to Kansas City for a tournament where the entire city is bought into this tournament and loving the fact that everybody's here playing basketball.
It's the difference in the Big 12 fans who come to Kansas City for the tournament. Most of them want to come watch the Big 12 men's basketball tournament. Most of them want to come see the Big 12 women's basketball tournament. Yes, there are fans who come for their team and their team only. But the Big 12 conference is a conference that wants to support basketball and likes college basketball. You've brought in some fan bases who like college basketball. I'm sure there are plenty of Arizona fans who are happy to enjoy this tournament and for what it is. But then you also brought in some fan bases who, we care about our team, and when our team's not playing, why are we not? We want to go to Vegas, and so that's fine. Go to Vegas, like, cool. We're hosting a basketball tournament for basketball.
You have a whole week between the women's tournament and Selection Sunday, or, you know, you've got time between the two for the men's tournament. So just book your flight, go do that. Complain to someone else. I will do the other thing with Arizona is they literally have the second highest attendance in the conference, and they're a little bit of a haul, and didn't really see a whole lot of problem with the location.
The only fan base we saw anything from is the same fan base who's been complaining about everything since it was announced they were joining the conference.
No, since it was rumored that they might be joining the conference,
begrudgingly, against their kicking and screaming, being drugged by their
look, this is not an indictment on all Utah fans, because I do know some pretty good Utah fans.
There are good Utah. No, there's good fans in every fan. But like, we're not going.
But I will say that there was definitely. I was shocked to hear it from media members, right, that were very upset about being in Kansas City, and it's just like, you're here to cover a team at a basketball tournament. I can't imagine any other conference, or like the way that other conferences put on their basketball tournament. I can't imagine coming to a tournament outside of the Big 12 tournament and wanting to stay and watch all the games. I went to almost every single game of this tournament, even though my team lost in the first night. Like, I went to as many as I possibly could. And it's because it was good basketball. It was focused on basketball. It was celebrating everything that we saw this year in the conference. And you could tell just how much care they put into that tournament.
And to those bringing up, well, the Big Ten's going to move it to Vegas, and everyone's saying how dumb it is. Everyone's saying it's dumb that the Big Ten is going to play their basketball championship tournament in Vegas. And you know what? It's
going there that year too. I do is I only pay attention to the.
Well, both are, and it's dumb, and it's going to suck. I'm sorry, like, I don't think your turnout's going to be good. Like, why is this not just play this in Indianapolis? Like, just play this where the fans are and want to. We got to account for. I'm sorry that you decided to add West Coast teams. I'm sorry, West Coast teams who decided to blow up their conference and go join teams in Ohio, Michigan, and Maryland. Well, you need to accommodate us. You joined. You came here.
Well, and it's funny because like West Virginia had the same issue with the Big 12, but they said, no, I mean, it sucked for us, but we understand why it's where it is. And it's a great area. Like they bought into what the conference was doing when they joined the conference. You've got way too many other people now that are like, oh, well, now we've got these huge nationwide conferences. Let's move stuff around and try to put everybody in the same location.
You also have to like come from a level of realism where, sorry, I don't like it any more than anyone else here, but especially on the women's side right now, the Big 10 tournament is a different thing than the Big 12 tournament because the Big 10 has had some really big national brands joining with USC and UCLA. They've had a high level of success. They've had that. The Big 12 has that historically, but has not as much recently, especially with Texas and OU going. You lose a little bit of that identity. And so for the Big 12, this is a time where you have to double down on the fan base that exists. You have to figure out, okay, what makes us different? What do we have that other places don't? That may not be a massive national brand that's going to draw in a neutral to distant location for 80% of your schools. It is a more local fan base that is extremely invested, is extremely dedicated, where you have primarily the Midwest schools will have people there in their gear for the entirety of the week, regardless of whether they win or lose, regardless of how long they play, because that's what they've been doing. It's what they're going to continue to do. And so to complain about that is basically saying, let's hamstring ourselves more and put ourselves in a worse position as far as our brand goes on the women's basketball side at the very least, just because I want to go gamble when my team loses.
Well, and what it really comes down to, right, is if you're running an event and you have a choice between two locations, one where the people that come to your event are going to be completely bought in, and one where people are going to come to your event because it's convenient, because it's got other things they wanted to do as well.
And you're going to get a quarter, maybe, of the attendees.
Well, even if you had the same number of attendees that weren't bought in, that, you know, came and didn't create a good atmosphere, like, it's going to be a worse experience for everybody. So even if you had the same number of attendees at each location, right? Like, yes, that's assuming a lot, but you're going to have people that are coming for a single game and then leaving to go do something else. You're going to have people that are coming that aren't connecting with the conference, aren't connecting with the people. They're not going to be as active on social media. They're not going to be doing all the things that have, differentiated the Big 12 in these last few years. And instead, they're just there to see their team and then go on to the next thing. It's just one additional thing. Here in Kansas City, you have people who come for the tournament, who enjoy the tournament, enjoy everything surrounding the tournament, take that opportunity to stay for extra games, to, try out all the food, to tweet about their experiences, to do all this other stuff. Like, it is so focused on the tournament here that it continues to make sense to continue to build your brand that way by making it all about you and not about all the other things that people can do at the same time that they're coming to watch you.
Look, I will defend Utah on this. I'm not going to act like every Big 12 fan before they joined was all like super happy and kumbaya about being in Kansas City. We get fans from Texas schools who complain that it doesn't ever come to, it should come to Dallas. It should come to here. It doesn't do as well. It just doesn't. It does not do as well. And part of it was always Texas fans complaining and like, they don't even show up. And so like,
shout out to them for getting the tournament split and then splitting. Thanks, Vic.
So cool. It's just like, look, there's a difference between being a fan of your school and going to those games and understanding that this is what the conference championship means to the Big 12 and to the fans of this conference. And look, try it out, go, give it a shot. Like it's just you don't complain, especially don't complain if you've never been. Like this whole like incoming schools obsession with Vegas because they did everything in Vegas and they've never experienced anything other than Vegas, and so that's like an 8-year-old who's like, the best pie is chocolate pie. Have you ever had any other pie? No, pie. Like, all right, small child, whatever.
We need more of Phillip, 8-year-old child voice.
What we actually need more of is Charlie Hustle, because the amount of stuff that they're cranking out right now. They just dropped their TCU Women's Basketball Big 12 Championship shirt. It will be a limited run. If you're a Horned Frogs fan, you need to go buy it now. Go get it now. Okay, they just dropped a bunch of new basketball stuff recently. They're running promos and deals, and they're dropping gear left, right, and sideways. They're doing promotions all month of March. Here's what you need to know. Follow them on social. It's Charlie Hustle Co. everywhere. Go to charliehustle.com. Okay, they got promos that they list there every day. Sign up for the email notifications. If something's on sale, if there's a promotion, buy it then. If not, 1012 Network, TEN12, the word network, gets you 15% off all non-sale items. So go to charliehustle.com, get your stuff now, okay? Have it, go. Or if you're going to the men's tournament, go by the store. If you're going to go to the men's tournament in Kansas City, go by Charlie Hustle store. Go in the store. I have not been in the store. Go in the store yourself. Go check it out.
It is fantastic. Having been there, it's great.
Tweet it out. Tag us in it. We'd love to see it. Let them know the 1012 sent you. Okay?
I also have to admit, my favorite shirt that they have right now is the Big 12 Eats shirt.
It's pretty good.
It's really literally good. it's the
good.
Kansas City skyline, but everything is food, and it is amazing.
That's on the website too. They put a bunch of new like Big 12 centric stuff out. The Eat shirt's good. I'm very tempted to email Patrick and be like, just send it to me. Give me the shirt. I will take one. So again, that promo code is 1012 Network, TEN12, the word network, 15% off all non-sale items. Go to Charlie Hustle, support them, support us. Charlie Hustle, vintage, made fresh.
Clorox Sentiva smells like grapefruit. Cleans like Clorox. And feels like
Okay, we could be here all day. Try Clorox Sentiva for a trusted clean with long-lasting freshness. Also available in lavender and coconut. Use as directed.
All right, ladies, let's talk about you, Jamie. This is where you get to shine. All right, that's what's going to happen. We're going to talk about some of the job openings that have already come up and ones that might come up, but we got to talk about TCU. Look, it was TCU Baylor. It was 1-2. We don't get that very often, and the one seed winning it all, and certainly not a team from. I say a team from Texas. Baylor wins it all the time, but it was a little bit chalky outside of Texas Tech's run that ended with an 11th straight loss by Krista Gerlich to Oklahoma State. I will be petty now. I don't care. I was petty into that game. I made the jokes like I kind of hope Texas Tech wins against Utah so they get to play Oklahoma State. And me and Tortillas and Takes were going back and forth. Shout out Tortillas and Takes, our Texas Tech podcast. Oh, but I forgot to mention, shout out Pin 12 Pod. If you're a Big 12 wrestling fan, they are a wrestling podcast. We have a Big 12 wrestling podcast in this network. If that doesn't tell you how much we love the Big 12, I don't know what will. But we got a 1-2. TCU wins the regular season and the tournament championship, like we said. Shirt from Charlie Hustle. Jamie, what were your takeaways from the tournament overall and TCU winning the whole darn thing?
I mean, I thought that they would have a bit of a disadvantage because, as I'd said, they don't go super deep into their bench. But they certainly did a lot more as they got down the stretch in the regular season, and that paid off big time, especially in the championship game, to be able to throw Una Jovanovic out there pretty frequently. You've got Lee Roberson going in. You've got, over the course of the end of the regular season and into the beginning of the tournament, Deasia Merrill was really, really crucial, especially in times that Sedona Prince got in foul trouble. So one of those things where making those adjustments down the stretch really can pay off in a big way. I also think that part of the issue in Baylor not being able to take advantage of that is that they were in the same spot. They lost Ariana Little-Page-Buggs really late in the regular season. She's yet to come back at this point. I don't know that she will be back for the NCAA tournament. School hasn't said one way or the other, but I wouldn't really be making that assumption. And then you've got Ella Fauntleroy, who got hurt the last game of the regular season, I want to say, and then has been playing, but getting into foul trouble. You have significant foul trouble across the board. You ended up with 4 Baylor players that had 4 fouls. And so they just kind of ran into sort of the same thing. And so that's where you're dealing with the same sort of stuff. You don't really have an advantage one way or the other. So definitely really impressive to go and beat a team again just a couple weeks later, barely even a couple weeks later, in the way that TCU did, taking down Baylor. Baylor keeps putting on that sort of late push in their games, but coming up a little bit short. They're certainly going to be really hungry going into the NCAA tournament. I think they've more than proven that they are deserving of a second top 4 seed in the Big 12. I don't know exactly how that'll pan out. I've seen a lot of bracketologists sort of trending in that direction to have both TCU and Baylor hosting, especially with the way that Kansas State dropped out. And there's been some kind of favorable losses as far as those efforts go across the country, but very intriguing. They're just old. It's a couple of really old teams. And that's sort of the case of most of the teams that are doing really well at this point in the year. And so it's going to be really interesting once they run into a team from another conference, where we all know how the Big 12 tends to be perceived, and especially a team like Baylor that got a lot better as the season wore on when they finally figured out what their roles were. That's going to be just interesting to see a little bit more of a measuring stick outside of conference again.
Yeah, the other thing too, I mean, I was there watching the game in person, and the thing that jumped out to me was that I tweeted about it too. Baylor looked like the much more energetic team, the much more aggressive team. TCU looked very calm, collected, and just methodical. Like, you didn't see them getting up and down a whole lot. And it definitely seemed like early in the game, it was a little strange, right? Because it was like, looking at the way these two teams are playing, the way that they're acting, the body language on the court, you would think that Baylor has the advantage and that they're running and that they're going to be able to pull it out here. But TCU just increased the lead. Like, they kept increasing the lead going in and ended up leading by 11.5. It was a little unnerving almost. And then Baylor making that huge run, and you saw the emotion, and you didn't see the same kind of emotion, or it didn't seem like TCU ever got worried or ever got rattled at all, even as Baylor got it all the way back to tie it. Ultimately, I think that's what TCU has going for them so much, is the composure that they have. So I'll be interested to see what happens to them in the tournament when they go up against a team that is able to challenge what they're able to do. Whereas Baylor, I think one of their biggest assets is just the amount of energy and aggression that they use on the court to attack teams can cause them to take a step back and allow that. So it's two completely different approaches that have both worked for them and almost worked for each team in tonight's game.
Here's hoping TCU gets a 2 seed, because at this point, I think they deserve it. Like, we'll see. The Big 12 is the Big 12. It gets treated the way it gets treated, but I think they've done enough at this point to deserve a 2 seed in the tournament when the bracket gets dropped. So I'm here's hoping that actually happens. Y'all look, first, every podcast is someone's first. They hate us. Okay. They hate the Big 12. They hate
us because they ain't us.
We get no respect around here. Okay. All right. So we've got a little while before the bracket drops. So again, congrats to TCU. But there's plenty to keep an eye on. Search season is officially underway. I'm going to just mention this. Obviously, Kansas State's head coach has been mentioned, rumored in regards to the Missouri opening. Now, he made a comment that some people were like, oh, it means he's not leaving. It was not a denial. It was, I haven't talked to the school. He did not say, I will not be the head coach of the University of Missouri women's basketball team. I promise I'm staying at Kansas State. That's not what he said.
He also didn't say, I don't give an F about Missouri. Like,
yeah, certain
Kansas coaches have done in the past.
Yes.
And then still left.
Yeah. So just as a heads up, like, it was not a denial. He's like the leading candidate.
Well, and let's be honest, like, all he said was he didn't talk with them. He directly didn't talk to them. They're nowhere near the point where he would be directly talking to them. So it's not a lie.
No, this is what happens, folks. Like it's agent work right now. If he does leave and Kansas State opens up, Oklahoma State fans, just prepare yourselves. That's all I'm going to say. However, there are 3 jobs that are. I'll mention Utah. Still has an interim. He has not been named the permanent head coach, but we'll just kind of keep an eye on that moving forward. There are 3 jobs that are open: Arizona State, BYU, and Houston. Jamie, let's start with BYU because they do have named an interim that may end up just kind of being the guy that gets the job.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm hearing. It's a name that was really thrown around a lot when the job was initially open. It's Lee Cummard. He was on the previous staff as an assistant, and so he's someone who a lot of people thought would have a chance at getting the head job. And when he didn't, he decided to stay on as an assistant. And so, especially when you have the caliber of player that they have right now on that team, and specifically freshman of the year Delaney Gibb, you're trying to look for some level of consistency. You also have only had Amber Whiting there for 3 years. And so to me, to go a different direction, especially with the challenges that hiring can present at BYU, where it's not technically required to hire someone in the church, but you know that that's generally a pretty big priority, pretty big emphasis. That tells me that they probably have a pretty good idea of what they're doing, and I would be very surprised if it's not sticking with Lee Cummard. Amber Whiting being gone means Amari Whiting's already entered the portal. It's being reported, and we'll see what else happens there. They've had some very highly touted recruits. Some panned out, some not as much. But yeah, definitely the one that I think has the least smoke around it right now, the one that could be resolved really quickly.
All right. Let's talk about Houston. They are open. I have no idea where that goes.
I don't know. I'm sad because, as I said, I think last week, I'm glad that I was able to kind of give them that shout out for doing what they did during the season, because I was really, really hoping that the kind of extraneous factors in the injuries and stuff that they face this year would buy Huey one more year to actually get some of the players that he had brought in healthy and playing, especially because I think that Gigi Cook has the potential to be an all Big 12 player. I think she's incredible. And there's others that I think would have been really big contributors that were hurt, but good guy. He has said already that he's looking to go get an assistant job somewhere. So wouldn't be surprising to see him land any number of places, even in the Big 12, but more likely elsewhere since, he probably is looking to stay in Texas. But as far as where they're looking to hire from for there, it's hard to say. There's already been interviews put out with their athletic director, Eddie Nunez, and he's in his first year. He's really trying to make a big push to improve their programs. Houston was not well attended, really struggled, and so I'm interested to see if they take a big swing from someone like young and up and coming, or if they're able to bring someone in that has more experience at maybe like a mid-major level. But definitely a pretty crucial time for them.
I'll float one name and get your thoughts. Current Lamar head coach, Aqua Franklin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's something that has been reported a couple different places. I know that our friend Justin Carter did a really nice article already on a lot of the leading candidates for those 3 jobs. And I think that would be a very solid hire. You get someone who has experience as a head coach. That's pretty crucial to me when you're hiring into a power conference, and especially has experience with a turnaround and through some adversity, and even frankly through changing conferences. Even though Houston isn't currently undergoing a conference change, that's obviously really central to some of the struggles they've had lately. And so I think that all of that would make a terrific case for Aqua Franklin. So when you talk about, okay, you never really know, especially with first year athletic directors, you hope that a hire like that would be at least highly, highly considered, because from the outside on paper, it would seem like a great fit.
All right. Arizona State. Look, I the name I immediately thought of, and a name I know some Arizona State fans have thought of, is, and comments that are made, is don't let Molly Miller leave the state. I don't know enough, understand about Arizona State as a women's basketball program to make a comment in regards to how appealing that job would be. But I do know that Maya Miller is a name that gets floated a lot. And so she seems to have a lot of options. Does that seem like the kind of job she might actually finally leave Grand Canyon for? Or are we going to be, or is this kind of a pipe dream situation for ASU fans?
It's really hard to say, because it's the same thing that you always talk about with these really popular mid-major coaches, right? Where you say they have had plenty of opportunities to leave. And so you never know exactly what it is that draws them when they finally make the jump. For instance, Carl Smesko going from Florida Gulf Coast to the WNBA, something that is almost never done and then happens twice this year. And you know he had plenty of high major offers. And so you just figure, okay, well, I guess that's what it took, was a WNBA offer. And so for Molly Miller, part of it is she is a little bit younger, so she's still fairly early in her career. She can be a little bit more selective, because you have to assume that once you make the jump to a power conference, you have the potential to be there for, I mean, this doesn't happen that often anymore, but you could be looking at the rest of your career at that point, depending on where you end up. And so somewhere like Arizona, Arizona State, where she already is in state, she has those connections, she has the recruiting connections, she's consistently been able to put together a really good program. And it's not like Arizona State is coming from nothing. It's not like they have no history. It's not like they have had no success. They have very, very recently. And so you're not looking at a complete rebuild. Shoot, you're really not looking at a complete rebuild if you can keep some of the players they have on that roster, because I finally got to see them play in person after I missed the Arizona trip for Iowa State since I was sick. And my goodness, do they have some ballers on that team. So you have pieces to be very successful. If it were me, I would definitely seriously consider it, because I think that it's a place that has a lot of the tools to be successful for a women's basketball program. No, now that's coming from me, who doesn't know what they have as far as money, as far as resources. What I'm hearing is that there hasn't been quite enough of an investment as far as that goes. But if they're willing to boost that a little bit for the right hire, you certainly would have a compelling argument.
Yeah, that's always one of the. Oh, go ahead, Andy.
I was to say the only thing I've heard is that at least some of the hesitation in the past is really liking the area. There at Grand Canyon, of course, it's all in the Phoenix metro area. So going from Grand Canyon to Arizona State, like, that takes one of the variables away, right? Like, she wouldn't be moving across the country. She wouldn't be worrying about huge, gigantic changes. She would just be driving like 20 minutes away to go to a different school instead. But yes, I also agree with Jamie. Like, looking at what Arizona State has done and what they have there, like, it feels like it is a program that has put itself in a good position, just not gotten quite the results they want, and they just need somebody to kickstart it. I think that she could, and that would be very enticing, right, for a coach like that is looking for jumping to a Power 5 conference potentially, and wanting to find a place that gives her a good opportunity to establish herself. So yeah, I definitely think it's a possibility. I have a hard time saying for sure anybody's going to a certain place, but I have a hard time like looking at any other jobs that make infinitely more sense than Arizona State for her at this point.
I mean, look, if she continues to succeed, if she starts getting some tournament, or like some wins in NCAA tournament, like, the opportunities will continue to rise. And sometimes all it takes is the possibility of the right hire to be able to start getting the funds in that you need. Like if it's wild that people don't want to spend when they think the coach that's there isn't any good. They don't want to invest in the program, which is always funny when you're like, we'd be a lot better if you would invest. Like, well, we're not going to invest in you. But when you get a name that everyone gets excited about, you'll start to see some investments made. And that might be the kind of thing that triggers, what they need at Arizona State. So obviously all those 3 jobs we'll keep an eye on. We'll continue to track those as they occur. 45 minutes. That's a good spot. I like that. Let's wrap this up. All right. I don't even have a good close. I don't. I'm just like, okay, we got everything on my list. I think. Yeah, my checklist is.
Look. Just like we wrapped up, or just like we're wrapping up here, or we can wrap up here in a very similar way that Haley Van Lith wrapped up the Big 12 tournament. If you go over to Twitter, Phillip went ahead and retweeted it, but great video of her, signing a camera lens at the very end of the tournament to sign out. So go take a look at that. It's great. I might be a little biased though.
I'm going to sign the screen here since podcasting is a visual medium. All right. She is Jamie Steyer-Johnson, JSJ, the Vibe Queen herself, at JSTEYZ on any platform that she is on. He is Andy Mitz at Andy Mitz 12. Rock Chalk Podcast is the show for him. And for Jamie, it's Her Hoop Stats. It's a great show. Absolutely great stuff. You guys' stuff on YouTube is fantastic. Andy's show is also good. I mean, it's our Kansas show, so I'm going to give him his due props. 1012 Network, 1012network.com. Find every show. Charlie Hustle. Shout out to them. We'll be back on Thursday, because on Thursdays we talk softball, and I promise we've got a lot to talk about this week. Woo, Eric is going to be fun. Oh, Eric's going to be fun. Oh, it's going to be a good time. So y'all enjoy your week. Enjoy the men's tournament, and we'll talk to y'all again on Thursday.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
O'Reilly.
You need parts? O'Reilly Auto Parts has parts. Need them fast? We've got fast. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Product availability. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.